All right, here we have probably my favorite Neville Goddard lecture, talk, whatever. It's called Feel After Him. And this part, I just wanted to highlight this part. He's talking about how it doesn't matter whether you don't have the qualifications or the correct circumstance, whatever you think you would need in order to attain your desire, that it doesn't matter. Your job is to ask and to feel it, and then you leave it to your God consciousness to figure it out, how it's going to work. But he also talks about, you know, holy places. You don't need to be in a church, etc. Just let Neville say it first.
But you see the results of his activity in you. He is active in you as you imagine. You're completely free to imagine good, bad, or indifferent. So you simply select what you want to imagine. Would you like to be, and you name it? Well, you say, but I don't have the background for it. I do not have any of the qualifications for it. It doesn't really matter. If imagining creates reality, you do not need the qualifications that the world thinks you need. All you need do is simply to boldly assume that you are the man, the woman that you would like to be. And if it proves itself in performance, then you found him. So Paul said to the Athenians, feel after him and you'll find him. Well, I have seen it numberless times in my 34 years of teaching. I started back in February of 1938. And here I am, this is February of 1972, and I'm yet to see it fail. If we, the operant power, applies it. It doesn't apply itself. We are the operant power. For in man is God, and God is man's own wonderful human imagination. So if I dare to assume that I am the one that I would like to be, well, that's God who's doing it. So how will I turn then to God tonight? Say, a half dozen people asked of me tonight. It takes no time. They voiced their request. There's a statement made in the book of John, the epistle of John. If we know that he hears us in whatever we ask of him, we know that we have already obtained the request made of him. Well, when they're talking to me, they say, I would like so-and-so. Instantly it comes within the frame of my golden rule. It's something I would like myself. If I were in their present state of consciousness, I would like that. It doesn't violate my rule. It doesn't injure someone. It doesn't take from anyone. Well now, did I hear it? I heard it. Well, if I and my Father are one, well then my Father heard it. I do not know the means that will be employed to bring it to pass, but I can't deny that I heard it. If I heard it and I and my Father are one, well, can I not now say to my inner being, thank you, Father? You heard it, because I heard it. Well, if we know that he hears all that we ask of him, then we know we have already obtained the request made of him. So as to say to me, I would like so-and-so. Well then, I heard it. I do not know, as a man called Neville, how it's going to happen. I do not know. I'm not going to suggest what they do or what they should do. I only know that I heard it, and if I heard it, my Father heard it, because he and I are one. He is my own wonderful human imagination. So I could actually say within myself as though we were two. Thank you. You heard it, because I heard it. And then allow the depth of my own being to devise the means necessary to bring it to pass. And then I am not responsible from that moment on. I do not call them up and say, did it happen? I do not get in touch with them and write them and say, tell me, how are things coming? It's not my concern.
You detach. He's describing you detach away from it. You don't worry about the how. You just state what you desire and let God, your imagination, take care of it. All right? It's a form of detachment. You put it out there and you let it go. You release the seed into the ground, so to speak.
I did what was asked of me. And all that was asked of me was to use my imagination lovingly on their behalf. Well, I did it.
He's describing manifesting for other people, on behalf of other people here. But it's done the same way as if you're doing it for yourself.
In the twinkle of an eye. You don't have to go into some sweat to do it. I don't have to go to some church and do it, go to some synagogue and do it, or some so-called holy place. Wherever I stand should be holy, because the Father is within me. And where can you go to a more holy place than where God is? If I know God is my own wonderful human imagination, then where can I go that could be more holy than wherever I am, no matter where it is? So the request is made, I heard it, and then having heard it, I give thanks to the being within me who has the means, the wisdom, and the power to externalize it. Knowing that the entire outside world, that all objective reality is solely produced through imagining. What is now proven in the world was once only imagined.
Okay, so you don't need to put your faith or anything into holy places or other things. There's no such thing as a holy place. I don't care whether it's a church. People have these shrines that they set up in places where so-called miracles happened, and they give over their power. They surrender their power to these places, which mean nothing. You heard him say it. God is within all of us. Wherever you are standing is holy ground. I hate to say it like this bluntly, but I mean, it could be in the bathroom, the restroom, the toilet. It's just as holy as any other place where you can find yourself. Don't put your power into these external things, because then you're giving up your power. You're surrendering it to these things. And then you're at the subject of whatever. So, Neville says it. He says, you don't question it. You don't call up, say, how are things coming? You don't worry about signs. If it's going to happen, oh my God, it didn't happen yet, blah, 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 blah. You need to detach from these things. I'm in the midst of manifesting something right now that I want. I'm not going to say it. I'll say it when it's ready. And I noticed some movement last night and today, but that's it. I noticed that not, it's doing its thing. I'm letting it be. There's nothing you can do to speed things up. And he says it right there. Now, I have these unabridged lecture in my video history. Just look for it. I have it both set to music and not. So you can listen to it either way you want. As a matter of fact, the music one got messed up. The music track, I had it low. Somehow it ended up loud. And the guy who commented on it said you can't understand them. He's actually correct. One of these days I'll redo that one. I don't know what happened when I created it, because when I was testing it in my video editor, it sounded fine. Something happened when it got rendered. But anyway, I have this like this. You can listen to it from beginning to end, the whole 46 and a half minute talk. It's in my playlist, which shows up on the screen for the Neville Goddard stuff. Listen to it. This is his, I consider it the most complete lecture. It's got everything in it. I mean, all of his stuff is great, but this one is like gold. It's like diamonds. So anyway, I wanted to focus in on that bit of it where he's talking about that circumstances and everything don't matter, that you can't rush it along. You don't question the Almighty. He also mentions, this thank you, Father. If you look back, that's what Jesus said all the time. Jesus was actually speaking to his inner God. People thought he was the only one talking to God the Father. He's the only Son of God. We're all sons, children of God. We all have splinters of the God consciousness within us. He was merely teaching us how to do this. And of course, it got misinterpreted through the ages, and all kinds of people use it for all kinds of unsavory things. And they use it for the exact opposite of what he intended, which is to enslave us, let it make us hand over our power to other things, religions, churches, whatever. And Neville even says, don't rely on these holy places. You don't have to go to a holy place. You don't have to get into a sweat. I see these religious revivals where these people are running around doing all these crazy things, these crazy dances, the speaking in tongues, which is just them babbling nothing because they've convinced themselves, and they're not really accomplishing anything, in my opinion. You don't need that stuff. You don't need to give your power over to that stuff, rituals, doctrines, all of that. It doesn't matter. You have God within you. You have God within you. Put it to the test. Neville says, put it to the test. Feel after him and you will find him. That's what this whole thing means. Feeling. Put feeling into what you want. Feel after him, your wonderful human imagination. You will find God in your wonderful human imagination. And you'll get the things and circumstances, desires that you want. Unfortunately, most people have to practice this a bit before it becomes second nature because they've willfully forgotten it. They've forgotten it. I'm not going to get into the whole being born here and forgetting it. Part of the game is living as a tiny little human when you're really an infinite being. That's a big game for infinite beings. But another game for infinite beings is growing, busting out of that without any of the outside knowledge, rediscovering it and feeling excited. Oh man, I really am this amazing, amazing infinite being. Anyway, I have to go now. The dog's barking, but that's really the end of the talk. That's all I wanted to say. Thank you.